They're like low-grade reality stars that are trying to attach to anything.
Tim Dillon just went absolutely nuclear on Meghan Markle, and he didn't hold back for even a second. He tore apart her so-called New York car chase like it was the fakest story in town, exposing it as pure theater.
They started to lose relevance, of course. So what they did was they cooked up this thing where they were going to try to simulate his mother's death.
People were already side-eyeing Meghan, but Tim's jokes turned that whole narrative into a laughingstock. And as if that wasn't enough, Conan O'Brien jumped in too, clowning her so-called jam empire like it was a middle school bake sale gone wrong. The hits just kept coming.
She just thinks we're all monsters and we're all just kind of pigs in the mud, and that she's helping us with jam.
But here's where it gets even messier. Hollywood insiders are whispering about something way more humiliating. Word is, screenshots are floating around, and they show Meghan literally begging people to hang out with her. Imagine the once royal rebel reduced to blasting out texts like a desperate teenager trying to score an invite on a Friday night. That's the Meghan people are laughing at behind closed doors, and the fact that these receipts are circulating among the industry elite makes it even juicier.
Like Meghan and Harry, I've listened to both of them talk. Garden variety retard.
Picture it. Meghan Markle, who once acted like the royal family wasn't worthy of her presence, now sliding into DMs with the energy of a college freshman scrambling for weekend plans. The same woman who pushed away palaces and crowns is now chasing clout just to fill her social calendar. The irony is brutal, the comedy is endless, and Hollywood can't stop passing those screenshots around with a smirk.
And I'm literally at the party, they're showing me texts of this woman begging people to like hang out. She's trying to get places. It's sad.
Tim didn't just hear about this gossip, he witnessed it with his own eyes at Hollywood parties. People were literally passing their phones around, laughing at Meghan's desperate messages like it was some kind of group comedy skit. Imagine the embarrassment of knowing your private texts are being used as entertainment at A-list gatherings. That's how far her reputation has fallen.
And a lot of people at this party are like, hey man, we text her back, we try to be nice, she's the Duchess, but we've had enough, right? We've had enough of her and she's,
And here's the killer detail. Even the folks who once bent over backwards to be polite, who tried to respect her Duchess status, have completely tapped out. The whispers now sound more like screams. We've had enough of her, when those words are coming from Hollywood insiders. People who live and breathe networking, who will usually tolerate anyone if it means staying connected. You know you've pushed things too far.
She has connections, she has people whose necks she can step on to get to the next level. She does not have friends.
Meghan didn't just wear out her welcome, she slammed the door on herself. This cuts right to the truth about who Meghan really is. She's not about genuine bonds, not about friendship, not about respect. She looks at people like rungs on a ladder, deciding whose back she can climb to reach the next spotlight. To her, relationships are business transactions, plain and simple. Once she's cashed in the value, you're disposable. That's why the same industry obsessed with clout and fame is now united in saying no more.
She does not care about other human beings. She only wants power. And the only way that she feels that she can get it is by leveraging her relationships with certain people. That's not...
Even Hollywood sharks don't want to swim with her anymore. By now, the pattern was undeniable. Meghan's entire playbook was laid bare for everyone to see. She doesn't care one bit about actual human connection, and people close to her started saying it out loud. To Meghan, it's never about loyalty or friendship. It's about power, about squeezing every last drop of benefit out of someone before moving on. That's not a bond, that's exploitation wrapped in a smile and a fancy curtsy. Tim Dillon hit the nail on the head when he dragged their timeline.
So they came to America, rented a mansion, and immediately started to monetize the horrible things they had gone through. And everybody eventually got sick of them because it was so crass and everybody could see immediately what they were both about.
Harry and Meghan didn't even have time to unpack their suitcases before flipping their royal escape into a cash machine. Instead of taking a step back to heal, to breathe, to process the family chaos, they went straight into Hollywood pitch meetings. They turned their so-called trauma into a business model, and the speed of it all left people stunned.
They're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You can't be, these people were so mean to us, poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
And the contradictions? They're laugh-out-loud ridiculous. For years, Meghan and Harry whined about the crushing weight of media attention, acting like they were victims of a spotlight they never asked for. But then, boom, Netflix deals, multi-million-dollar Spotify contracts, ghost-written memoirs, and endless interviews about how much they supposedly hate publicity.
It's very interesting to make a 3-part documentary on Netflix about how bad things are while living in a castle. I find the lack of self-awareness there to be very fun. I mean, they're very funny.
The hypocrisy is so bold, it's almost insulting. At this point, even casual fans started to see the truth. It wasn't about escaping the spotlight, it was about owning it, monetizing it, and selling the most transparent sob story in modern celebrity history. Harry and Meghan didn't just cash in. They set a new standard for how to flip personal drama into an empire. A 3-part documentary about your struggles while literally living in a castle? That's not just tone deaf, that's pure comedy gold. The whole thing played like a parody. Poor us, look at our pain, look at our suffering, all while lounging in multi-million-dollar estates with round-the-clock security and A-list celebrity friends on speed dial.
To me, to portray yourself as somebody who's having a rough go of it whilst living in a castle with royal protection and then leaving and flying to America to stay in the home of a big celebrity and it's a beautiful home, they make me laugh.
It wasn't inspiring. It was insulting. The optics were so bad, people couldn't help but laugh. The absurdity of this victim narrative is off the charts. It takes serious mental gymnastics to convince the world you're oppressed while waking up in palaces, sipping tea with royal protection at the door, then hopping on a private jet to go heal at Tyler Perry's mansion. That kind of cognitive dissonance doesn't just look desperate. It's downright staggering. Complaining about how tough life is when you've experienced more luxury than 99% of humanity will ever even dream of? That's not sympathy-worthy, that's clown behavior. And this is where Bill Maher cut straight to the truth.
You're just fragile. Just take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public.
He reminded everyone of a basic rule Meghan clearly never learned. Dignity is silence. The late Queen Elizabeth knew it better than anyone. She faced actual crises, World War II, political turmoil, family implosions, and never once turned it into a televised pity party. She handled problems quietly, with composure, and that's why people respected her. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan broadcast their complaints like a reality show and wonder why no one takes them seriously. Hollywood is overflowing with scandals, but Harry and Meghan's drama plays out like a soap opera that refuses to end.
You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
And the part that makes people roll their eyes the hardest? The privileged complaints. Their biggest struggles sound more like punchlines than problems. Arguing over which castle to stay in, stressing about whether people curtsy fast enough, or whining about paparazzi while living in one of the most exclusive zip codes in America. Honestly, maybe save the victim speeches for people facing real hardships, not royal-level inconveniences. Their lack of self-awareness isn't just embarrassing, it's become a masterclass in how to completely misread the room. But here's the kicker. Meghan's no fool when it comes to marketing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She understands that plenty of people will throw money at anything that makes them feel a little more elite, a little more enlightened. That's why her jam empire isn't about the flavor, the ingredients, or the jar.
Well, what's brilliant about what she's doing is she knows people want to spend money, and spending money makes them feel like they're getting something that's better, even though it might not necessarily be true.
It's about selling a fantasy. The idea that buying it somehow brings you closer to living like a Duchess in Montecito. It's the oldest play in the lifestyle guru book. From wellness teas to overpriced candles, Meghan's just spinning the same formula. Convince people that a product is more than a product. It's a ticket into a glamorous world. And the wild part, people are falling for it, just like they always do. She's turned a jar of jam into a symbol of status, and that says everything about how carefully she's playing the fame game. This might be the most accurate takedown of Meghan's entire worldview yet.
She just thinks we're all monsters, and we're all just kind of pigs in the mud, and that she's helping us.
Yeah.
With jam and honey.
She really seems to believe the rest of us are stumbling around in the mud like clueless peasants, while she floats above as some enlightened savior, blessing the masses with organic honey, sustainably harvested jam, and whatever other overpriced trinkets she dreams up. The level of condescension is jaw-dropping, like we're all supposed to sit patiently, waiting for her royal guidance on how to sip water, pick flowers, or eat breakfast the right way. And once late-night comedians like Conan O'Brien and Ryan Reynolds start roasting your jam business, congratulations, you've officially crossed into punchline territory.
I really am a middleman for jars of jam.
He works for Meghan Markle.
Yes.
Really tiny jams, harvestable jams.
Yes, exactly.
Made from the oils of Montecito.
Their cracks about tiny Montecito jams and harvestable oils of luxury fruit hit harder than any critic's review because they captured what everyday people already feel. The whole brand looks ridiculous. It's not sophistication, it's self-parody. The mockery practically writes itself at this point. Meghan's whole aesthetic, the spring water from her backyard, the delicately staged flower petals, the staged wellness guru vibes, has become a cartoon of influencer pretension. She's trying so hard to sell herself as the embodiment of mindful luxury, but the only thing people see is how vapid and disconnected it all feels. And let's be real, the flower arranging jokes sting the most because they expose the emptiness at the heart of this empire. What story are you really telling when your brand screams, "Look at my curated life," while ignoring the fact that your credibility is in shambles? Meghan wanted to look inspirational.
How I prepare water for my guests. Some water that I got from the spring in my backyard. Whatever you do, don't use tap water. I'm just gonna sneak a taste. You flower petal. H is always calling water water, and there you have it.
But what she's selling looks more like a parody of privilege. Maybe ditch your family, maybe disown your dad. That's basically Meghan's life story, only repackaged and sold back to the public as overpriced home decor. Tim Dillon's parody of her lifestyle shtick was absolutely unhinged, but that's exactly why it worked. He cut straight to the heart of what Meghan has really done, built a fake image of domestic bliss while leaving a trail of broken ties and chaos behind her.
Any type of flower arranging is just telling a story. What story do you want to tell? Maybe leave the country. Maybe disown your dad. Be creative with it.
Think about it. Meghan's busy branding herself as some wholesome, mindful guru, staging jam jars and flower petals for Instagram, while Harry sits in the background looking more lost than ever. This is a man who once had a world of connections, a global family, and a sense of identity. Now, he's been carved out of his old life, cut off from the people he grew up with, and locked into Meghan's curated reality show. The contrast between her glossy Montecito fantasy and the destruction left in its shadow is staggering.
And she just kind of goes through the kitchen. It's a little moment. It's not about perfection. It's about the journey. I don't know where my autistic husband is. He doesn't know where he is. He's not allowed to see his family. I destroyed a monarchy so we could have a little...
And this is where Tim's comedy turns from hilarious to chilling. He's not just throwing out jokes, he's exposing the calculated manipulation behind every single move Meghan makes. Remember their infamous 2023 car chase through New York? The story they claimed nearly lasted 2 hours, painting themselves as hunted victims in the middle of Manhattan. The kicker came when the actual taxi driver spoke up and flat out called it exaggerated nonsense. Even he admitted it was nowhere near what Harry and Meghan claimed. But here's the twisted part. That wasn't just another PR stunt gone wrong. That whole event looked like a deliberate attempt to recreate the most traumatic moment in Harry's past.
And it's a family that's been around for centuries, and I destroyed it. And you want to wilt the vegetables, which is actually different than stewing them. I also staged a chase in New York City like the one his mother had, and I've actually worn sweatshirts that his mother wore. I'm a deeply sick person.
Replaying his deepest scars for media attention. That level of exploitation isn't just desperate, it's borderline sociopathic. Meghan didn't just use her husband's pain, she staged it for the cameras. And that's what makes this comedy roast land like a gut punch. The children's dialogue Tim created might be the most brutal commentary anyone has ever made about Meghan and Harry's circus. It hit nerves because it painted a chilling picture. Their kids growing up with zero connection to their royal heritage, completely cut off from Harry's side of the family, isolated in a California bubble. Instead of knowing grandparents, cousins, and traditions, they'll grow up surrounded by PR teams, staged photo ops, and a mother who's more focused on branding jam than building bridges.
We're just using local honey, and we fold that honey into the frosting, and the kids love it. Little Archie loves it, and Lilibet, and they're gonna say to me, "What'd you do to Daddy's family?" I said, "I killed them. I killed them all, and I brought you all back to Santa Barbara."
The comedy worked because it rang uncomfortably true. While Meghan plays lifestyle guru, the reality is she's systematically torched every relationship Harry once held dear. Friends, family, lifelong ties, gone. And Harry, lost in the middle of it, has become little more than a sidekick in Meghan's production.
I mean, I like them. I hope they don't go away. I hope they keep doing this. I hope they keep behaving shamefully. It's great for the tabloids. It's great for us. We keep doing it. Keep simulating car chases, simulate terrorist attacks. Whatever they want to do that keeps them in the news, I'm all for.
Tim's commentary went further, mocking how their stunts have gotten so transparent, they barely even feel like lies anymore. He joked about them simulating car chases and even terrorist attacks just to stay in headlines. Because at this point, their entire life has turned into a content farm for tabloids and comedians alike. The punchline? They're essentially performing their own downfall for our entertainment, and the audience can't look away. And then came Tim's most savage bit, his Diana from Heaven impression.
It's actually quite interesting because, first of all, I loved initially that my son was marrying a black woman, even though it was like, she's not really like sort of black, like, you know what I mean? It's sort of like odd, but it was like, whatever. I thought, you know, she's sort of, well, whatever, but I was really
It was jaw-dropping, having Diana comment on Meghan's use of racial dynamics while reminding people of Meghan's own mixed heritage, cut straight to the heart of how identity politics were weaponized to win sympathy. And if that wasn't harsh enough, Diana, dismissing Meghan's lifestyle brand as nothing more than a glorified home goods hustle, sealed the roast. All that royal drama, all that family destruction, just so Meghan could hawk overpriced kitchen accessories? That's not just mockery, that's devastation with a punchline.
I'm here in heaven, and I'm watching this lifestyle brand, and I'm like, what a dumb I can't believe it. That's all she wanted to do this entire thing. Fleeing the castle, saying it was all fair and wrong, but that's all she wanted to do was sell souffle ramekins and Target.
And that right there is the ultimate insult to Diana's real legacy. A woman who endured unimaginable pressures with dignity, now reduced to a punchline thanks to Meghan and Harry's circus. Every stunt, every pity plea, every tabloid spectacle tramples on the sacrifices Diana actually made, and people aren't letting that slide anymore.
And I will not bend the knee and just go along with the nonsense. That's what's so annoying about them. The most of all, they like insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
Bill Maher nailed it when he refused to play along with what he called their fragility Olympics. That's exactly the kind of pushback more people need to give. The demand that everyone blindly accept their nonsense, that the world treat their privileged complaints as legitimate struggles, is what makes them unbearable to regular folks. You can't cry victim while living in mansions, banking multi-million-dollar contracts, and expecting the world to clap for your pain. It's delusional.
They are under the impression they have big thoughts. Big thoughts. Like Meghan and Harry, I've listened to both of them talk. Garden variety retards.
And then there's Tim Dillon's savage assessment of their so-called intellect. Harsh? Absolutely. But accurate? Probably. Meghan and Harry genuinely believe they're thought leaders dropping profound wisdom, when in reality they're spewing recycled self-help slogans mixed with endless victimhood. Any reality TV personality could deliver the same lines with more charm. Even John Oliver, who usually chooses diplomacy over brutality, admitted flat out that they won't change because they lack the capacity for self-reflection. When someone as measured as Oliver gives up on you, that's not just criticism, that's a verdict. And Tim's closing comparison? Dead on.
I don't think they will change because I don't think they have the capacity to, but they obviously should.
Harry and Meghan are no longer royals in the eyes of the public. They're reality stars, drama-obsessed, addicted to attention, living out Kardashian-style fantasies in California. They took a 1,000-year-old institution and cheapened it into a trashy reality show, and now, instead of commanding respect, they've cemented themselves as the very punchline they once swore they'd never become. And now we're left with what people are calling the royal exile.
And nobody is a realer housewife than Meghan Markle, who married this ginger retard and took him out of his racist family so that they could live in Beverly Hills or wherever the fuck they live.
The moment when Harry and Meghan fully transformed from global figures into Hollywood's running gag. But here's the question that keeps everyone divided. Is Meghan really this out of touch, so delusional she believes her own spin? Or is it all a carefully calculated strategy to keep herself in the headlines no matter how messy it gets? And then there's Harry. Is he fully brainwashed, trapped in Meghan's fantasy world with no way out? Or does he secretly know he made the biggest mistake of his life, but feels too deep in the hole to ever admit it? Some say he looks lost, others argue he's complicit. Either way, his silence speaks volumes. So what's your take on this whole train wreck? Do you think Meghan and Harry are masterminds of manipulation, or are they just fumbling their way through a reality show version of royalty? And most importantly, is there even the slightest chance they'll ever gain some genuine self-awareness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear where you stand. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Because trust me, this royal soap opera isn't ending anytime soon.